and especially our donors and friends. I've served on the board for 8 years now, and it's been my honor to be part of this organization. I was a student here, but now being on the board, getting to volunteer and support with my other fellow board members, this college and all of you has been a phenomenal experience, and we truly appreciate the honor to be able to serve you and serve the students and the faculty and the staff here at Cuesta College. I'd like to take a few minutes to acknowledge some of our honored guests that we have this evening. First, I'd like to start with our second superintendent and president, Dr. Frank Martinez. Dr. Martinez. We also have our fourth superintendent president, Dr. Marie Rosenwasser. There's Marie over there. Thank you. And we're also honored to have former Assistant Superintendent, Vice President of Educational Services, Jim Greathouse. I saw Jim earlier. Where's Jim? Welcome, Jim. My fellow board members I'd like to introduce that are currently serving all of you on our board. I saw Trustee Charlotte Alexander. Trustee Barbara George. Trustee Angela Mitchell. Trustee Jordan Knowles, our student trustee. There's Jordan. And former trustees that we have here, I'll introduce you, and we'd all like to acknowledge those that are here this evening. Jim Brabeck. See Jim. Bob Bryant. Ellen Harper. Oh, there's Bob. Ellen Harper. Where's Ellen sitting? Oh, over here. And Per Matheson. Per Matheson. There's Per in the back. From our foundation board, please stand when I say your name and hold your applause. I've got quite a list here, but I know you'll recognize and want to applaud all of them. Bud Anderson. Bud. Jeff Buckingham. Go ahead and stand or wave. Okay. Roxanne Carr. Donna Crocker. Rob Garcia. Nella Griolo. See Nella? Gary Harkins. And remain standing. I'm sorry. Please stand and remain standing. All of our foundation board members. Sorry I wasn't clear on that. Linda Harris. Doug Hilton. Jordan Knowles. John Knutson. Sandy McLaughlin. George Pudlow. Mary Schwartz. Anika Scranton. Lori Sinton. Tony Summer. Gil Stork, Irish Swisser, Bob Wacker, Tim Williams, Deb Wolf, and also not only representing our board, but the California State Community Colleges Board of Governors, Henry Ramos. Would you all give a warm welcome to our foundation board members? I was just talking with Bob Wacker about Cuesta College's foundation and how strong that is compared to all of the other foundations in the community college system. And I don't know if we're first or second, but we're right up there, one of the largest and strongest of all of the community foundations, or the foundations for all of the community colleges. And it's in large part due to all of you and the support of our great foundation board. I'd also like to take a minute to acknowledge those that came before the current foundation board members, and I'd like to ask those that I read off next, who are our former foundation board of director members, to also rise and remain standing. Bob Bryant. Diane Blakesley Brocado. Saw Diane earlier. David Booker. Vicki Carroll. Berna Dallins. Betsy Nash. Pragna Patel Mueller. I saw Pragna earlier. Jim Sargent. Tom Shugetsa. And John Swift. We also have our 4 honorary board members I'd like to include in that. Barbara George, Jim Greathouse, Dr. Frank Martinez, and Dr. Marie Rosenwasser. Let's give them all a big hand and thank them. I read her name.
And then Michael Green.
Oh, I missed Michael Greenhouse. I apologize, and I think I caught Roxanne Carr, but we also have those board members here tonight. If I missed you earlier, my apologies. So are they here, Michael Greenhouse and Roxanne? Oh, over here. Okay. Let's see. We have a number of elected officials here tonight supporting us, and we so appreciate their support with our county, our cities, our local school districts. I'd like to introduce Supervisor Frank Meacham, saw Frank earlier, and ask you all to remain standing as well. Debbie Arnold, Supervisor Debbie Arnold. Supervisor Adam Hill. And Supervisor Paul Teixeira. Thank you all for being here this evening. From our local school districts, I'd first like to ask Dr. Julian Crocker to also stand. From our city's Grover Beach Mayor Debbie Peterson. Atascadero City Councilwoman Roberta Fonzie. San Luis Coastal School Trustee Chris Unger. Atascadero School Trustee Don Clickard. Don here. Atascadero Unified School Trustee George Galvin. And I should also have mentioned earlier that many of you are aware our Cuesta Board of Trustee, Gay Galvin, was not able to make it tonight. But most of you all know Gay. And knowing Gay, I was surprised that she didn't demand an ambulance and a gurney bring her in here tonight to be here. Unfortunately, she was at a Cuesta event and had a fall and broke her leg, and she's under strict doctor's orders not to be here. But if it was anything other than that, she'd be here tonight. So, also from Lucia Mar Unified School District, Trustee Colleen Martin. There we go. Representing U.S. Congresswoman Lois Kapp's office, District Director Betsy Umhofer. Betsy. From Assemblyman Kacho Ashajian's office, Representative Kevin Durbinski. Kevin. And from State Senator Bill Monning's office, District Director Noel White. There's Noel. Before I turn over the podium to Dr. Stork, though, I also wanted to ask all of the current or former faculty members, staff members, and administrators to please take a moment and stand so we can all recognize you and all of your friends. There we go. Gives me chills. Thank you all so much. It's so wonderful to have all of you here and for everything that all of you have done to make Cuesta College the gem it really is in this community. It's now my honor to introduce Cuesta's 6th Superintendent President, Dr. Gil Stork. Many of you know as many of you know, Dr. Stork has been here almost as long as Cuesta College has been here. Not quite, but the best part about having Dr. Stork as our president is he truly does embody the heart and soul of this college and this community. And he represents that in so many different ways. and the benefit that he's brought to this college over all of these years, and now certainly in this role as president superintendent, is something that I think we all can truly, truly be grateful and are fortunate for. And I say that personally too from the board members. Dr. Stewart, thank you.
I'll have to remember that when the next time I negotiate my contract. Thank you very much, Pat. And for all of you who have been introduced, I really appreciate all of the support that you have given Cuesta College, whether you're in a role of being a volunteer board member on the foundation, or a volunteer member serving as an elected board member, or whether you have been a significant donor to the college. I know how much that means to the college, and especially our students who are the beneficiaries of your generosity. I can't believe that this is the 50th year. 50 years ago, I was playing my last football year at Cal Poly and getting ready to graduate in 1963, and pursuing my life dream to be a high school math teacher and a football coach. And I did that for about 3 years. And then my wife and I were living in an apartment on Westmont Drive in San Luis, and a couple of wise guys from this new upstart Cuesta College moved into town from West Covina. One of them was Warren Hansen, and he was a football coach at Cuesta College, and both his wife Marielle and my wife became pregnant about the same time, and actually our first children were born 10 days apart, and we kind of created this bond. And he was coaching football at Cuesta out on some dirt patch where you had to pick up rocks before practice, and I was coaching football at San Luis High, and we were having great winning seasons. And then Warren became head football coach in 1967 and said, "Hey, why don't you come out to Cuesta College?" I thought, why would I do that? You know? But I've never been very smart, and so before I knew it, he was introducing me to Frank Martinez as the vice president, and the job was a physical education instructor job, and I had a minor in PE, and I said, well, I really want to teach math, and I don't want to, be in PE all my life, and so I interviewed with both the PE department and the math department, and was offered the job with the understanding that I could move into the math department when a position opened, which took 3 years before that happened, okay? But I was 26 years old, and how many of you at 26 knew anything about life? I certainly didn't. I thought I did, but looking back at it, I thought, wow, that was really a dumb move at the time, But you know what? Looking back at it, what an amazing decision that was. Looking back at what opportunities that decision provided for me to be able to launch a career on a whim of this college that was nestled somewhere on Camp San Luis. You couldn't see it from the highway, you couldn't see it from O'Connor Road. It was somewhere, that you just followed the right roads for a while, and then once you got to the cows, you stopped. But it was a great investment. And what I really appreciated most about those early years at Cuesta College is because we didn't have buildings, we didn't have parking lots, we didn't have nice things, but what we had was a great commitment to people. And the time invested in the people of Cuesta College was what pulled us all together. And many of you here tonight were part of those early 3 or 4 years of creating the culture and the climate of what success is built on. And that's the part I remember. And that's the part that we're trying to rebuild at Cuesta College now. And that's commitment about purpose rather than a commitment about me as an individual. So people are looking beyond themselves. So it is with my pleasure that I'm going to take us for a little walk in history at Cuesta College. So we can kind of look at the milestones and look at the individuals who have contributed to the success of this particular college. And you're all part of that story, because you've invested your time, your energy, your resources, and your love for this college. And what I'd like at this point, I'd like for all of you who have been a student at Cuesta College at one time in your career, and I know who you are because I've looked at your transcripts. So if you just please stand at this moment, if you've been a student at Cuesta College. Well, my senior year at San Luis High School was, I graduated in 1959. Don't take out your calculators, okay. And that was the year that San Luis Obispo Junior College lost their accreditation. Oh my God, that scared me. You know, when I was looking back at that, I thought, it was deja vu all over again, as Yogi Berra would say, you know. I said, that can't happen. But, you know, it did happen. It did happen because things weren't going right, and they weren't willing to correct it. So for a period of 4 years, there was no junior college in San Luis Obispo County. And with the creation of the Higher Education Act in 1960, it was deemed that all K-12 school districts had to be within a district of a junior college. So therefore, they had to create one. And so the voters in 1963 took it upon themselves to approve the creation of the San Luis Obispo Junior College District. And along with that, they elected the first Board of Trustees. And these were the individuals who really paved the way to creating what we enjoy today. John Lichty from Templeton, Al Rhodes from San Luis Obispo, the former superintendent of schools, J. Vard Loomis, an icon from Arroyo Grande, Carolyn Ragsdale from Paso Robles, and Fred Righetti from San Luis Obispo. This was the original Board of Trustees. They immediately appointed Superintendent of Schools from Paso Robles, Hosley, as the interim superintendent while they began searching for a permanent superintendent. There were a couple of guys that were working down in Citrus College named Frank Martinez and Merlin Eisenbeis, who had an interest in pursuing the job. So they both applied for it, and they made a deal. They made a deal that whoever got the job, if they did at all, would hire the other one to come along with them. So the board was very, very smart, and they hired Merlin Eisenbeis, you know, as the first president. But Merlin was even smarter because he was able to bring Frank along as his vice president of instruction. And so they appointed Dr. Merlin Eisenbeis as the first president of Cuesta College. And tonight we have one of his children here this evening, Ann Carl Eisenbeis. So Ann, please stand. Thank you. Now, Brother David was intended to be here tonight, but his wife had had illness and was not able to attend. Otherwise, we would have had both David and Ann here. David was also a former student body president at Cuesta College. So when Frank and Merlin joined the team, this is how the college started, in a parking lot of a motel with a box, cardboard box. And actually, the wisdom of the board was not only hiring Merlin and Frank, but of course June and Lois, you know, who were going to be the linchpins to their success and the support of those two individuals. So then shortly after that, they hired Dr. George McGinnis as the Vice President of Business Affairs. And once those three amigos got together, they said, you know, we're not going to be able to do anything unless we have somebody to keep us in line. And so they also collectively made a great decision, and they hired none other than Elaine Coates. And Elaine is here this night. Please stand, Elaine. You talk about the consummate professional, and that was Elaine Coates. She worked with the three musketeers, or whatever their superintendents, or whatever their titles were. And she then worked for the vice president of instruction for Frank Martinez for several years until he was promoted to president. And then she continued on and supported Jim Greathouse as the vice president of instruction. You know, Elaine continued working till 1992, officially, when she retired. But then, like some of us who don't know what retirement is all about, she actually continued working for another 16 years as a part-time hourly employee all over campus and primarily in the foundation office. So we were very, very pleased that Elaine is here tonight. Well, then the idea was when the college started and administrative work, they were going to open the college for classes in 1965. But just as we learned to understand, there was an infiltrator in the southern part of our county, and that was Allen Hancock College. And they started to come across the Santa Maria River, you know, doing the belly run, you know, on the ground. Even the razor wire we put up there didn't keep them out. And they started to advertise that they were going to be serving San Luis County, but that wasn't going to happen. And so Frank, in a matter of a few short weeks, wrote the curriculum, hired a bunch of part-time faculty, and launched an evening program in fall of 1964 at San Luis Obispo Junior High School and Atascadero High School in order to keep those people away, you know. You know, having coached football here, and Hancock was one of our rivals, I just can't get it out of my blood, you know. I just tell our friends to the south, I say, and students say, you know, if you live in Napomo, I said, go to Hancock. I said, you live only 7 miles away, unless you want a good education, you know, so. But anyway, we have a lot of fun with that. But the interesting thing is you could go to Cuesta College for $1 a unit. You know? Highway robbery, wasn't it? Okay. But by the fall of 1965, Cuesta College was offering both day and evening classes in leased barracks over on what we call the old campus across the creek over here, and got launched in both day and evening classes for the first year. Also in the fall of 1965, we didn't have a name. The college didn't have a name, so there was a contest to see what the name was, and there were all kinds of things like Santa Lucia, Central Coast College, Mid-Coast College, and even Frog Hollow, I heard, was one of the options. But Cuesta College was a victor, and shortly after that, the students selected the Cougars as the mascot for this particular college. So now, then began the process for preparing for 1965 of hiring the first full-time permanent faculty for Cuesta College. And in 1965, there were 37 new full-time and faculty and staff were hired in order to build the foundation for which we now understand and know to be a first-rate teaching and learning institution. And we have 4 members of that original class of 1965 as faculty members. I'd just like for them to stand and be acknowledged. And I didn't see Arlene Chandler, but I know she was supposed to come. Is Arlene Chandler here? Did she come? Was able to come? Arlene? She is? Okay. Arlene, Warren Hansen was here in physical education athletics. He's the reason why I'm here. Arnold Frank. Arnold was a division chair for engineering and technology and the former commandant next door at the Camp San Luis. And then one of Warren's colleagues in the physical education department, Adele Frey. Okay. Well, the excitement was rampant. You know, the environment was quite unique. You scurried between classes, dodging different kinds of impediments on the ground from the cows, and But the joy came in the celebration of that first graduating class in 1966. We also have a member of the first graduating class of the nursing program, and Evelyn Cunningham. Is Evelyn somewhere back there? Please stand, Evelyn. Evelyn graduated in the first graduating class of our nursing program. So we had 28 students receiving their degrees in 1966. Well, then the students got busy and they started to create the very first student handbook. And what was interesting about this handbook was there was a dress code. And so if you were a woman on campus, you had to wear dresses or skirts. You could not have slacks. You could not have Bermuda shorts. You could not wear capris. You couldn't wear pedal pushers. Nor could you wear stretch pants. Unless there was an activity, an approved activity that warranted such amazing and disgusting dress. Okay. Now guys could wear jeans, they could wear slacks, but it was also some pretty interesting, it did give permission for the instructors to also dictate their dress code within their own classes. So, I mean, how different is that from today, I mean, I look on campus and I walk in, I see this guy coming at me. He's got some kind of a, slow brew t-shirt. He's got shorts on and flip-flops and, oh, you teach in the math department. Yeah, so, So it's very different, But that doesn't affect the quality of our teaching and learning, though. All right. So then along comes our very first student body president, Rolf Nelson. Now, look at that handsome devil. Now, where is Rolf? Oh, Rolf, yeah, come here. Stand up, Rolf. This is Rolf Nelson. Now, Rolf was a young man from Atascadero High School, played basketball at Cuesta College, but this was his message to the students. And I just wanted to read a little excerpt from what he had to say, his advice to the students. He said, the campus, an unusual one, remember we were in the barracks, odd in appearance and indecisive in location, is made up of students going in all sorts of directions, not too different than today. In such a situation, the results of school spirit and participation are low. So his whole message here is about get behind us and let's go get them and let's create school spirit, But I loved his description of the campus, Where are you? I know you're out there somewhere. But Rolf started a legacy of strong student leadership here at Cuesta College, and I really appreciate that factor. And we have other student leaders that are here tonight that have helped guide our students and get them involved in the activities. When Frank Martinez was the Vice President of Student Service or Instruction, the only way he could kind of keep tabs on things was have his kid run for office, So one of the student body presidents was Dr. Larry Martinez. Larry, please stand. And following Larry came his brother Jay Martinez. And also about that time was Al Fonzie. Is Al here somewhere? Where's Al? Al was supposed to be here. Al and his wife, Roberta. Is Roberta here? She was also recognized earlier. They actually met in student council, and those kind of things just create these linchpins. Dee Torres. Dee Torres was a student body vice president here. And of course, our current student board member and trustee and leader is Jordan Knowles. Jordan. But if you were on campus during those days, this is kind of what a daily trek across campus looked like. There was different things that you had to move around. We were looking for an opportunity to create a permanent site. The district finally purchased the front part of what we're currently on now, which was called Area 10 and 11. of Camp San Luis Obispo. It was 127 acres and was purchased for a little over $300,000. The military wanted us to build a fence separating the campus from the base, and so the district did that. But in order to kind of connect the two, they gave us another 33 acres where the baseball field, track, and softball field are. So we actually got another 33 acres thrown in for the same $300,000. So such a deal. The college earned its first accreditation in 1968, and the college continued to do the very best thing it could, and that was hire the very best teachers in order to meet the challenge of our students. So in 1966, who joined the team who are here tonight was Dr. Jim Greathouse in administration, Dr. Bill Fairbanks in sociology. Please stand, just stay standing. And Dr. Ernie Sementina in counseling. In 1967, hired in to teach history was Dick Hitchman. Dick, please stand. In chemistry was Joe Asire. And the best hire of all was me. In 1968, come along Ed Pierce in automotive technology. Please stand, Ed. Dick Garrett in student activities. Bob Evans in social sciences. Where's Bob? Bob Evans. Right there. Sid Bennett in health education. And Claudia Hayner was hired in admissions and records. So please welcome them. Thank you. So following a $5 million bond campaign, a successful bond in the spring of 1970, groundbreaking started on the very first building here at Cuesta College, which is just over this little knoll behind that white building you see out the back. And that was a men's shower and locker room, because that was a building we didn't have over on the old campus. I mean, our students now today think this is the old campus, you know, but that was a really old campus over there. And so that started the permanency on this frontage property. And shortly after that began the building of the rest of the campus, the rest of the PE complex. In the lower left corner, in the far distance, you see the Science Center with the observatory. And that began the building of what the model showed as what the image of Cuesta College was going to be. So, again, a big part of our life has been and will be, continue to be, living up to the standards of the U.S. Department of Education, and that's accreditation. And so the college was reaffirmed in 1974, which launched it for another 5 or 6 years for the accreditation process. And then in early 1977, it was time for Merlin to say goodbye and to retire from Cuesta College. And so he did so in the early part of 1977, after 13 years of leading this district from a cow pasture into something that was really starting to take off. His strategic way of growing a college was known throughout the state. And then on February 19th, 1977, Dr. Frank Martinez was promoted from his vice president position to being the second superintendent president of this district. And he in turn immediately appointed Dr. Jim Greathouse to serve as the vice president for instruction. He also, at this point, demonstrated his uncanny ability to identify administrative talent when he promoted me to replace Dr. Greathouse as the dean of the dark, you know, which was the evening dean. So I worked 4 nights a week with a flashlight and took care of the evening and summer program. But like what happens to most presidents, you're either immediately faced with good fortune or a challenge. And Frank was immediately faced with the passage of Proposition 13 in 1978, which is the People's Initiative to limit property taxation. which changed the financing way that schools and colleges were funded. It put us into a lull in terms of adjusting to that. Major changes were made, and the dastardly deed was done in 1978 when football was dropped from our agenda at Cuesta College. We have one of those original football players here today who enjoyed that very first season in 1965, and that's Frank Meacham, our pastoral assistant. We're actually nice to Bob Bryant, but Bob was on the board at the time, and he had to do something that he felt was important at that time, so he initiated the process for the elimination of football. When I first accepted this job to come back, I kept getting these emails saying, "When are we bringing back football?" And I said, "Well, maybe not." Anyway, but we still had some money left over from the second bond issue, which was $8.5 million, and the last building was built later in 1978, which the J. Vard and Gladys Loomis administration building. We then hit immediate growth. We started growing crazily, going from the flower children of the 70s into the modern campus teeming with students. And then we hit the 1983 scene when we celebrated the 20th anniversary of the college. The Board of Trustees at the time was still Fred Righetti, who was still on the board from the original, Fran Reynolds, Don Talley, Bud Laurent, and the vivacious Ellen Harper at the time. People were contributing to the 20th anniversary, and Mid-State Bank, who's been a great supporter of Cuesta College for all those years, was there with a donation to support the commemorative time. And then the original faculty from 1965 gathered for another photo shot, and you'll see that they look a little different then, a little more sparkling on the head, either from grayness or from absence, except for one dude over on the far right, and that was Warren Hansen, who, the guy didn't age at all. It looked like he had a Daniel Boone hat on or something, but he really stood out because that guy's hair didn't change forever, but his colleagues did. So, notice that Frank had the same sport coat on he did in that first picture in 19... It was only 18 years, but some guys just don't get rid of anything, Well, then came the end of another era. Frank decided after 11 years to retire and left behind his amazing legacy of leadership during his period of time. Here he's shown with his family and his first grandchild, Julian, who is now must be, 25 or so, right? 25? Okay. And then following on Frank's footsteps came Dr. Grace Mitchell, and she joined she joined the staff on March 15, 1989, as the third superintendent president. During the early part of her presidency, the students did an amazing thing. We were the third college in California to take advantage of a Title V provision, which is called the Student Center Act. And that meant that students could vote to tax themselves a fee of $10 a year to go into a fund to build a student center or a student union facility. And we happened to have an amazing student leadership group in the late 80s, led by Markham Piros, who's shown there in the upper left-hand corner. Markham was our student body president. He left here and became the student body president at Cal Poly. But he had an amazing group that went around and they convinced students that this is a time to tax themselves for something they would never see. Now that took an amazing thing. He also was amazing because he was allowed to go into faculty's classrooms and pitch this notion. And getting into faculty's classrooms is really difficult to do that, but he pulled it off. And the students voted in the tax, and that launched the beginning of the development of this whole complex you see outside here to your right. That became the student center. It was built on to the student cafeteria, which you see on the left-hand side which is what it looked like in 1990. And this provided our auditorium, the students' auditorium, which we call the Student Center, meeting rooms, offices for students, a courtyard for doing presentations and performances, and it expanded our bookstore to provide greater service. It was a tremendous accomplishment by our students, and we became, again, a model college as to how to pull off this kind of an election and what to do to make it work. And many colleges followed our pattern and again, developed their ability to build their own center. But then Grace took on the challenge of revitalizing and updating the educational master plan and facilities master plan that had been originally developed in the 1960s. And that launched the identification of the direction the college was going to move in terms of building out this campus, as well as the programs that were going to come after that. And without a doubt, one of the biggest accomplishments on record during that time was the response to our citizens of the North County who said, it's time that we have a campus in the North County. It was part of the original master plan. It called for a North Campus, a South Campus, as well as a Mid-Campus. And they got tired of waiting. But more than just whining and complaining, they came willing to work and willing to promote. And that was really led by some really important people, John and Berna Dallins and Lori Sinton and Dee Lacey and a few other people who really mounted the charge. And partnering with Barbara George and our foundation, they pulled off a $4 million private gift support. And then with the good fortune of receiving about $2 million of surplus portable buildings from Vandenberg Air Force Base, the North County campus was launched. That campaign, however, wouldn't have been as successful as it was without the campaign leadership of Jim Sargent. And so, Jim, I want to, again, thank you for that leadership. Please stand. Yeah. But it took more than that. While that money was being raised, we found an 84-acre parcel of land right off of 46. At that time, there was nothing out there. And John and Berna Dallin stepped up and bought the property and held it for the college until the district could gather the resources to buy that property. And what a great gift. It was a gift that they continued to support. And then in the fall of 1998, they were there to recognize and to celebrate the opening of the North County campus along with Dr. Mitchell and Mike Hargett, who is the Vice President of Administrative Services. We now serve almost 3,000 students in the North County, many of whom would not be able to access education without that particular facility being there. Thank you. Also in California, the voters approved Proposition 1A, which was a higher education facilities bond to build facilities, and we had several projects in line. One of them was creating a child care center. The child care center, which you see on the left, was still over on the old campus. The only program that was there was by itself for 15 years while we were waiting for this project to get done, along with the expansion, the revitalization of our college library. So then Grace decided after her tenure to retire, and so with that in 1998 she decided to retire, and after a vast search, Dr. Marie Rosenwasser arrived on the scenes as the fourth superintendent president on August 1st of 1999. She immediately went to work on updating the 10-year master plan and redid that, and also instrumentally kept moving forward with the planning on our building project, and finished the Children's Center that you see on the left. We opened the Ada Irving Science Center or Nursing Center, as well as the high-tech project. Now, the high-tech center was another state-funded project, but there was not enough money in it to fully equip it. And so the foundation, again, kicked off another campaign and raised $2 million in that campaign. And that was led by another one of our community leaders, and that was Jeff Buckingham. So Jeff, please stand up, say thank you. So and immediately that 2003 rolled along, and now we have another anniversary, 40 years old. And here in the 40th, we were able to celebrate lots of victories. The continue building out the campus, creating modernized facilities and programs for students. Our athletic programs were flourishing. The students had modern equipment. And again, we were continually to pump out more and more graduates who were taking advantage of the local community college. And then another special time. Along one of the planning was we needed to create a permanency of the North County. And plans that had been developed early on during Dr. Rosenwasser's watch had now come to fruition when the first permanent building in 2005 was completed. And this was the Center for Allied Health, Math, and Science, which was affectionately and permanently named the Patricia D. Fox Building after the family and their large contribution to Cuesta College. And that was dedicated here on February 7th in 2007. So in 2006, Dr. Marie Rosenwasser said goodbye to Cuesta College and officially retired. Looks like she and Lee were off to have a pretty good time. I was looking for the tequila there, but I didn't see it there. But anyway, we said goodbye to Marie, and okay, all right, it was, whoa, yeah. And along came Dr. Dave Pelham, who was selected by the Board of Trustees and who arrived in the March of 2008. There had been a lot of planning during Grace's time and during Marie's time about finally building the cultural performing arts, the Performing Arts Center, the CPAC building at Cuesta College. But we ran into a lot of financial issues. At that time, steel and so on were outrageous, and bids came in way over the funding mechanism. But finally, it got off the ground, and during Dr. Pelham's reign, we were able to complete that project in the fall of 2009, which again opened an amazing complex. The first event that was held in November of 2009 was a student performance. We had several student performing groups to a sellout crowd of 450 people in that center. And it really paved the way to show what a great resource we have for those students you heard today and our students in all of our performing arts programs and dramatic arts. So how many have attended at least one event in the CPAC? And I think you can all attest that that is an amazing facility. As a matter of fact, the sound system we have in that building is the one that the PAC at Cal Poly just installed in their redo. And so they finally now got it, that is a way to do it. So, and I'll hear about it when I go over across the highway. So, shortly after Dr. Pelham's arrival, he decided to leave the college and pursue other ideas. And so, about this time, the Board of Trustees were drawing straws, and Pat Mullen lost. And so he made contact with me and to see if I'd be willing to step in to the position to serve as superintendent president on an interim basis. And I immediately said, "Are you out of your mind?" The state of economy in California absolutely sucks. And we're on warning, soon to be on probation. I said, "What's wrong with this picture?" And I remember something my father told me when he retired at the age of 65. And I said, and I recognized that the guy was busier than he'd ever been in his life. And he said, the difference is I get to do the things I'm passionate about. So guess what? I said yes, because Cuesta College is what I am passionate about. But I wouldn't have been able to make that decision without the great support from my lovely wife, Jan, and our 5 adult children and our 10 grandchildren, because we have a great commitment to our family, and I knew that that would be in conflict. We enjoy our grandchildren, and some of you have been recipients of our Christmas card where we show ourselves with our grandchildren, and Frank Martinez immediately calls me up every time we do that and said, "Can't you afford to buy those kids shoes?" You know, because I'm usually embarrassed. As a matter of fact, he sent me a card in follow-up with a $1 bill in it to start the Stork Grandchildren Shoe Fund, you know. So I told him if he gives $5,000 to the foundation, we can start an endowment, and that would even be better. Well, you know, I worked for 2 years on a contract basis, and that was my commitment to the board. And then kind of fell in love with what I was doing, and became president in January, permanent president in January of 2012. And one of the privileges that I have as being president is I get to work with and I get to honor many of you here today, and that's our donors. You know, because without not only your emotional and your passionate support, but your financial resources that contribute to a foundation that has grown so significantly under the leadership of our executive directors and now under the leadership of our foundation board and Bob Wacker as the president, we can do some amazing things. But it's your generosity that allows us to do that. I am just so privileged to have the good fortune to be able to work with you in that regard. So I want to thank you all, you know, for all of you who have remained loyal to our mission and confident in our abilities to be good stewards of your generosity, because that's the most meaningful thing, is the credibility that you have with us. And then last year we had another wonderful opportunity in the North County, and that was to get him out of there, and that was to open the second permanent building at the North County campus, the Dale and Mary Schwartz Learning Resource Center, named after Dale, the late Dale Schwartz and Mary Schwartz. Did Mary, was she able to come tonight? No, she was going to be here, but I wanted to recognize her because she is such a great spirit. You see the picture of her, that is what she is all the time. She is such a great spirit of Cuesta College. But if you have not been on our North County campus and have not had the opportunity to go through that building, it is a wonderful experience. It provides our students an amazing facility for learning, for studying, for tutoring, for working in labs, meeting with their instructors, with state-of-the-art equipment and technology. And this was one of the most successful projects that came in under time and under budget for the first time in the history of Cuesta College. And now if you've noticed, if you've been on our website lately, we also invested in a reconstruction of our website, which is totally antiquated. It was originally built from an inside out. It was to serve really the internal population. And if you were an outside consumer, you couldn't find anything. You know, so now it's really been designed for you, the public, and people who are curious about Cuesta, who want to know more about our programs, our services, and how to get connected with Cuesta College. And I want to thank our whole campus, but especially our marketing and communications department, who really took the leadership along with our technical crew under Janice Souse's leadership to really pull this thing off. And so now we also had another little challenge, and that had to do with our accreditation. You know, a lot of you were rightfully so nervous about the future of Cuesta College and where we might be headed. And when we went on Show Cause, that was a really unnerving experience for us all. But you know, sometimes it was probably the best thing that happened to us, because it galvanized the direction that we were going to move. Because we finally turned the corner from trying to figure out whose fault it was, at what period of time in the history of Cuesta College, and suddenly recognize the fact that, you know, no matter what happened, we own it. We're the ones that are here. It is our job to now to fix it. And once that kind of settled in, you know, all kinds of things took off. And a great part of that galvanization was the work of a lot of people, but led by Vice President Deb Wolf, who's here today. And I'd like to say thank you to Deb. Thank you. So now we've reached our 50-year point. I have to confidently say I will not be here at the next 50th anniversary. But you know, it's the preparing for the next decade, the next 2 decades, and how this history and this story keeps going. And all I know is that my current board that I'm working with are so committed to the success of Cuesta College and providing such great leadership. They really get it. They really understand not only the purpose of the community college, but what Cuesta College stands for and how it can impact in a positive way the lives of the residents of San Luis Obispo County. And that I'm forever grateful. Many of you are here today who built this college, and we plan to make sure that Cuesta is here to stay for another 50 years. And thank you for building, for supporting, and donating to Cuesta College, because you know, the future is in our hands. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm glad you took a little long to do that, because I noticed some people have a little harder time to get up these days, you know, so especially sliding your chair on grass, you know, that's a little more difficult. So I wanted to just say thank you to a very special person who was, a lot of people were involved in putting on this event today, but one person was really the drill sergeant, and that was Dina Bach-Ebling. And I don't know where Dina is around here. Dina, right in the back. I got to the point where I was afraid to suggest changes, you know. But thank you. She pulled off, you know, we had to go to Plan B from an inside event to an outside event, and pulled it off with a great miracle. We have several people here today to help recognize and to celebrate our award recipients tonight. So I'd like to just introduce our guests representing several of our elected officials today. So I'd like to invite Kevin Drabinski, Noel White, Supervisor Chairperson Paul Teixeira, and Shelley Abajian to join me up here, please. And also Betsy Umhofer. I didn't see you back there, Betsy. Here.
Noel will be right here.
Okay. And Noel will be here. Okay. And I'd also like to invite Pat Mullen and Jordan Knowles to come up, please. We're going to do a little photo op, but these individuals have brought resolutions from their various representatives in local and state government. And but we're going to do a picture here, and then they're going to be actually presenting their certificates and resolutions at the time we give the awards. And just so you know, Shelley Abajian is from Senator Feinstein's office, and Betsy Umhofer is with Lois Capps, and Paul Teixeira represents those other renegade supervisors.
Two amigos that are here.
Right. Thank you. Okay, at this time I'd like to bring to the podium Bob Wacker, the President of the Foundation Board of Directors.
Thank you, Dr. Stork. It's a real pleasure to be here representing the Foundation Board. I am so happy that all of you got here in time for the early bird special today. I felt milling around, sitting down at 4:45. I felt like I was in Palm Springs at the Red Lobster, looking for the $5.95 special. I'll go have another dinner later at my normal dinner time, but it was great that everybody was here in time for that. With Pat Mullen and Gil and I all in tuxedos, I thought maybe we would look like the Three Tenors. Gil said, no, I think it's going to be more like the Three Stooges. And so Pat and I were discussing, which one of us really was Moe and which was Larry. We knew who was Curly. So, at any rate, I wanted to correct one thing. When we were introducing the Foundation board members, there were 3 people who were skipped. I hope they're all still here because I want to recognize them. Debbie Peralt. Is Debbie still here? She's on the Foundation board. Anita Robinson. Hope Anita is still here. And Reese Davies. So, along with all of the other board members who stood earlier, we are all very committed to the success of Cuesta students and the advocacy that we do for Cuesta College. You'll be pleased to know, as the the sun goes down and the chill comes in a little bit, that my presentation will be shorter than Gil's. Gil's scheduled 20-minute presentation. For one thing, we're only 40 years instead of 50. In terms of our history. The other is that whenever you let Gil Stork ad-lib a little bit, he'll steal about half your script. And so we'll be going over some familiar ground as part of this. The Foundation Board of Directors of Cuesta College was incorporated 40 years ago tomorrow. So we are truly celebrating our 40th anniversary this week. Giving to Cuesta, however, started before April 17th with these individuals, Frank Martinez and Jim Greathouse. Now, Frank would call people up, such as Yost Tiber, seen here. I think Sheila is here and will confirm this. When there was something happening that needed some additional funds, and these days we call that donor cultivation. Frank basically would call up and say, come here, let me tell you what we need. And he would just continue talking until you finally gave in and gave him the money he needed for it. So that was Frank's style, and it was very effective. Now, in the early 70s, Merlin Eisenbeis went to a conference and learned from another administrator about their college's foundation. He returned to Cuesta to begin the process of building the Cuesta Foundation. John Jenkins was the lawyer who wrote the incorporation papers, submitted it to the state for formal approval, and the foundation started and ended its first year with a fund balance of $28,000. Big money in 1973. Now, Merlin Eisenbeis oversaw the foundation until his retirement in 1977. Jim Greathouse was appointed by Frank Martinez following that, and he stayed in that position until the first executive director was hired. Some of you know her as our newest trustee for Cuesta College. Some of us know her as Miss Oceanside of whatever year that was. I threatened her I would do that. But Barbara George is the icon of the Cuesta College Foundation. She is the patron saint the juggernaut who made the Cuesta Foundation the success it has become and has enjoyed. She also refined Frank's approach toward donor cultivation, thankfully, because it really worked much better. Now, the foundation board members were a fierce group that were ready to tackle almost any project that was needed to be done. Often they just hung around the office looking for ways to help, and Barbara always found a way for them. As Gil mentioned, Cuesta's first campaign was the Campaign for Cuesta, starting in 1996, headed by Jim Sargent on the left. He took the helm as the campaign chair. And Jeff Buckingham, also recognized, and he is in the center on the right, overseeing the technology campaign. A very hirsute Jeff Buckingham, as a matter of fact, in those days. Now, this campaign was a great success. It raised $6.1 million. Here you see below, I think we call them the Money Honeys and the Dollar Dudes that were celebrating all the success that we had. $2 million went to technology, and as we all know, in this evolving world, the needs for technology are huge. They continue to be huge, and this was a big, big plus for the college. And $4.1 million, as you've heard, went to the future site of the North County campus. Of course, it couldn't have been done, as Gil mentioned, without John and Berna Dallins. John and Berna actually purchased the land in 1996, and then with the funds donated, they turned around and sold it in 1997 to the college for no profit. Now, if you'll remember back, these were the days when you actually sort of expected to make a profit buying and selling real estate. So this was really above and beyond for them to do this and secure that land for the college. So 25 years into the foundation's history, we celebrated. There was much success in our first campaign. Our assets now of the foundation were at $4.4 million. The foundation's second campaign was building on success in the year 2000 with the aforementioned Berna Dallins, another juggernaut, chairing that campaign, also very successful. Now, this campaign was to increase the growth and demand for the North County campus by raising $500,000 to $600,000 for the 5,000 and 6,000 buildings at the North County. In 2002, the foundation kicked off its third campaign called Building on Excellence. 6 areas were focused on that needed upgrades to the building for equipment or online services, a lot of it because of the new technology that was coming on board at that point. Now, besides raising funds for Cuesta, through the years the foundation has increased awareness of Cuesta College through a number of events to raise funds and raise awareness, such as the Tally Picnic. Here we see with the late Don and now Rosemary Tally shown here, who are wonderful hosts for this event. All the events that we had at Tar Springs, hopefully most of you have been to some of those. They always had great food, great fun, and an unparalleled ambiance. I'm not sure they're ADA certified, but it's a great place to go have a party. We have the Business Partners Program, which is important to the community groups from different professions, industries, who get together and help Cuesta folks understand what they need in terms of skills and education, and they learn more about how Cuesta can benefit their businesses. And hopefully you have been to one of the scholarship receptions. This is really a terrific event. This is where we get to see and talk to and hear from the people that we are benefiting here at Cuesta, the Cuesta students. It is uplifting. It is reaffirming for all of us who go and participate in this to see these fine people. Some of them are young people, some of them are not so young people, but they all have benefited from their experience at Cuesta College. And of course, the events we've had at Santa Margarita over the years, where all the women are ladies, the bad guys are put in jail, and old jocks try to regain their youthful athleticism. And this event that we have each year, the President's normally luncheon, now dinner this year, celebrating all of you, are very generous and fantastic major donors. You're the ones responsible for the growth in the foundation assets from that $4.4 million 15 years ago to over $21 million today. So this is an exciting time for the Cuesta Foundation to be celebrating our 40th anniversary, along with Cuesta College celebrating its 50th anniversary. But before I hand the microphone back to Gil, I may never see it again. He's sort of like the black hole of microphones when you give the microphone to Gil. I'm going to ask your indulgence just for a moment to give you a few additional facts about the Cuesta College Foundation, and of course to ask for your help a little bit. Of the $21 million in assets that the Cuesta Foundation holds, over 95% of that is restricted to certain uses by the donors. There may be temporary or permanent restrictions or funds. The endowment is now over $13 million, and that is a gift that will keep on giving forever to students now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now, as we spend the income from those funds, but the corpus remains in perpetuity. We also have $7 million that is restricted for certain uses by the donors, and this is great. These monies will all be spent, but they are restricted for certain uses. We appreciate all of those gifts. Those gifts are important to the people who go to Cuesta College, and they are important to the donors for whom certain things resonate with them more than others. Less than 5% of the funds that Cuesta College holds is the general or unrestricted fund, which supports the operating of the foundation and from which we make gifts to the area of greatest need. Now, particularly over the last few years, there has been no shortage of areas of greatest need. And in this environment, the Cuesta Foundation has raised and given to the college almost $1.5 million in the last 5 years from the general fund. Now, these funds go for equipment, for technology needs, for things that normally fall through the cracks, the departmental requests, an amazing array of gifts that the foundation makes with your funds to the college for things that are needed and are not in the budget. So that's $300,000 a year we have averaged for the last 5 years. Because the needs are so great, we don't hoard funds. We don't hoard general funds. We try to meet all these needs that are there. And we have taken our reserves down to what we feel is a prudent minimum to make sure the operation of the foundation can continue. This next year, even though as we grow restricted funds, temporarily restricted or permanently restricted funds, as you have seen from the numbers, our budget for general funds giving to the area of greatest need is $225,000, because that's what we can do. But that's a 25% drop from what we have done for the last 5 years. So we're going to ask a little bit for your help to be able to do more. This is a celebration today, and this dinner is like a thank you note to all of you. There's an old credo in philanthropy that whenever you send a thank you note, send an envelope as well. I'm your envelope today. I am the volunteer head of the fundraising arm, so I'm asking you to please either make a gift or increase your gift to the annual fund for Cuesta, which goes to the area of greatest need, to fill those cracks that otherwise fall through in the many needs of the college. Together we really can make a difference for the students of Cuesta College in their lives. So I want to tell you that Shannon Hill, my fellow native East Tennessean and our new executive director, Shannon, she probably has cards out here if any of you want to have a pledge card for the annual fund. But she and her great staff and all the other foundation board members join me in thanking you for your many contributions to Cuesta College. There are those students who need access to what Cuesta has to offer, and there are students at Cuesta that we can help achieve success as well. We appreciate your being here today. We appreciate all your contributions to Cuesta, and I am thankful that we have you to count on. Thank you.
Awards and recognitions to give out today.
This is a moment that Dr. Stork and his committee have been dreading, and that is to give me the mic. Because I want to give a speech too. But if you ever follow Stork, you don't have much of a chance. And so therefore, I just want to say briefly, very briefly, what a privilege it is for me to be here. And the privilege is due to the gratefulness that I express to a few people that I want to say thank you for the fact that I'm here. The first one is Dr. Resigns. He and I worked together for 17 years. When we heard about the new law that established new community college districts, we said, let's go set one of our own. We applied for this one, and we're here. Thank goodness that Dr. Resigns brought me with him. So, Ann, thank you. Second, I'd like to thank my family. I've got a nice family. I was never home because I was busy down here. And so we got along pretty well. We have nice kids. When it came time, a few years later, we were having dinner and they said, we are not going to go to Cuesta. And I said, how come? I said, because they came here. I had a heck of a time getting them here, and then I couldn't get them out. Barbara was here 3 or 4 years. Mark was here 4 or 5 years. However, Larry, who is pretty smart at times, said, and he's been to 4 or 5 universities all over the world, he says, the best teaching I ever got was right here at Cuesta. And of course, he was referring to political science, and one of them is here, Dick Hitchman. So thank you, kids. They all came to Cuesta. They graduated. And so I'm very proud of them, and thank Cuesta for what they did for my students, for my kids. They weren't students. The next person I want to thank very briefly is the one that kept the 3 administrators together for the first 2 months, Elaine Coates. She was our very first employee. We had no secretary for the first 6 weeks. She helped us tremendously. We could not have started Cuesta without Elaine Coates. Thank you, Elaine. Another group that should be forgotten would be the very first board. They didn't know much about the junior college, but Dr. Resigns worked with them. They formed standards, policies, and principles that have been followed by ensuing boards, and we owe a lot to that original board. I don't know how much you know about boards of trustees, but some are really terrible. Ours are great. And through the years, I think that ensuing boards have followed the example. Julian Crocker, you're not. Through the ensuing years, we've had very good, strong boards of trustees. However, for those of you who know anything about education, let me tell you that the school is based upon the principle and the statement of the 2 ends of the log, and that is the teacher at one end of the log and the student at the other. Without the strong faculties that we had and what they established in the original first 2 years, we have had outstanding teaching here at Cuesta, which makes the school. You notice I said 2 years because that 3rd year came around, and when that 3rd year came around, things sort of standards went down a little bit, especially because of a math teacher that we had. That math teacher needed a lot of help. And so we worked with that individual for a number of years, finally came around, and so we are very lucky today that that math teacher is because of the fact that these have been very difficult years, these last 3 years, and he has brought us out to the point where we have a successful, outgoing program based upon the leadership of Dr. Gil Stork. Now, the reason for his success is but I happen to know what the secret is. I'd like to tell you. From time to time, I call up Gil and I give him my advice. And I give him very much a few suggestions. He turns right around and does just the opposite. That's a secret to his success. And now, Diane, I've kept you waiting. I'm apologizing because I think there's an award to be presented to you, very justly so. And so, Diane, should I ask her to come forward, Dr. Stork?
Be my guest.
Are you going to talk about her now? Okay, I'll now turn it over to the math teacher, Gil Stork.
This year's Dr. Frank Martinez Superintendent's Award goes to Diane Blakesley. Brocado. This award was started in 2001, and it gives recognition for the accomplishments of a community volunteer. And not just anyone or any volunteer, but somebody who's given generously of their time and their commitment, their passion, and their partnership with Cuesta College. You know, Diane came here in 1965 as a wife of one of those 1965 faculty members, Earl Blakesley, who started our fine arts music program. And she's never stopped working on behalf of Cuesta College, serving tirelessly on our foundation board, serving as its president, serving in all kinds of other volunteer capacities, and then being the charter president of the newly formed group of the Friends of the CPAC, which is now supporting our new Cultural and Performing Arts Center. So, Diane, it was my pleasure, out of the nominees that were made for this particular award, that I had the privilege of selecting you for this award this year. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Frank. Thank you.
Diane, it's a pleasure for me to be here with you to present the Superintendent's Award, which you so well deserve. And I'd like to let this audience know that Diane was here from the very beginning with her husband Earl, and they are the reason why we have a county symphony today. When we came here, the county symphony had died. It was out of existence. Dr. Blakesley came to see me. He said, could we start the symphony again? I said, certainly. And with the community service tax that we had at that time, Dr. Blakesley took over, and with the help of Diane, the two of them resuscitated the county symphony that we take so much pride in, but that would not be here now without Cuesta College's help in those years when we brought it back to for the benefit of the people of this county. Diane, thank you.
Well, if things hadn't gone on for so long, I could give you all kinds of anecdotes, but I'll only give you one. I don't know if you noticed when Dr. Stork was talking about the early Board of Trustees and the president, Fred Rigetti. There's an anecdote that goes with that name. Mr. Rigetti was a farmer. He was pretty caustic and negative most of the time, and I believe the board had a little difficult with him. Every year at the end of the semester, the summer semester, they would have a breakfast out at the country club of all the faculty and key staff people. And this one breakfast my husband came home from and told me that Dr. Merlin Eisenbeis said, and now we will have a few words from Fred Rigetti. I love being part of Cuesta. I love being part of the Friends of the CPAC. Right now we have one goal that we're thinking of, and that is an electronic sign out by the by the highway that will tell what is going on at the auditorium. So as people breeze by, we won't be ignored. Thank you so much for this award, and God bless Cuesta College. Oh my gosh. I have to go this way?
Come this way.
And Frank, come here. We have a special recognition for you also. So would you bring us over, Lisa? So Frank, we would like to present to you this recognition plaque. It says the Frank R. Martinez, second Superintendent President, 1977 to 1988, San Luis Obispo County Community College District, and it has one of your favorite quotes of Lord Byron: "All who would win joy must share it, for happiness was born a twin."
Exactly.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I don't know what to say, Gil. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay. Right over here.
Don't drop it.
Thank you. Go ahead.
It's my great pleasure to give away the J. Vard Loomis Award for Distinguished Board Service. This is an award for people who are either past or present on the Board of Trustees of Cuesta College or the Foundation Board of Directors. And this year, this award goes to Harold Bud Anderson. Bud, come on up here. Now, Bud is a fourth generation born in San Luis Obispo. He and his lovely wife, Rita, been married for 66 years. When they got married, I was, an egg. They have 3 children, Roger, Molly, and Jeff. Bud and Rita started the Galley Restaurant in Morro Bay in 1966, still a great place to have dinner. He's been involved with several local organizations like the Rotary Club, the Santa Lucia Area Boy Scouts, the Historical Society, the Morro Bay Historical Society, the Morro Bay Harbor Festival. He's proud to say that his family has 6 family members who have attended Cuesta College. And Bud has been volunteering on the Cuesta College Foundation Board of Directors since 1995. He contributes his time to any number of events, meetings, alumni activities. He has a great network, social network, before social networking became the thing, and he uses that for the benefit of Cuesta College. He's caring and selfless, always has a great smile on his face, and is a wonderful person to be around. It's my pleasure to introduce the 2013 J. Vard Loomis Award for Distinguished Board Service to Bud Anderson. Bud. I'll hold on to this.
I got some advice from President Gill before this night. He gave me some very good advice. It went like this: if your name is called, stand up. Say thank you. Sit down. Oh, and also, be sure to wear a clean shirt and brush your teeth. And since I learned about this, I put together some thoughts about people I know here and things that have happened, and so many names that I wanted to mention. But 2 fellows who talk a lot mentioned every one of them. So it saved me a lot of trouble. But being associated with these people is just the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And this whole entire school, everybody in it, couldn't be better. And thank you very much.
No. So our final segment this evening is the presentation of our honored alumni for 2013. We have some of our honored alums who are here this evening that I'd like to recognize. If I call your name, just please stand and remain standing, and then we'll recognize you as a group. Roger Anderson was in 2005. Morgan Burkett, who couldn't be here tonight, but his wife Christine Burkett is here, in 1989. Morgan was the very first honored alum when the award was started in 1989. Peter Cardell in 2011. Larry Martinez in 2007. Rolf Nelson in 2011. Remain standing, Larry, remember? Fred Sweeney in 2000. Tim Williams in 2009. Dee Torres in 2012. And Ann Grant in 2010. Congratulate these wonderful Cuesta graduates. Today, Bob and I are going to be presenting the next three to join this illustrious class of alumni from Cuesta College who have made a great contribution to the world. The first one is Abdullah Al-Thani, who is from the country of Dubai, and he is not able to be here this evening, but let me just tell you a little about Abdullah, and then Larry Martinez is going to accept his award on his behalf. Abdullah earned his associate degree in liberal arts from Cuesta College in 1980. He then transferred to UC San Diego, where he completed a bachelor's degree in anthropology. He returned to Dubai and is the founder and director of the Al-Thani Group. He has 30 years of achievement in entrepreneurial globalization and that has transformed his homeland. A quote from his nominator, Larry Martinez, says, "Abdullah remembers Cuesta College fondly and knows he received a great education from Cuesta. He stated that the kindness he received from Lori Judson and her family — Lori was our former public information officer — and her son David was just an amazing contribution to his well-being here at Cuesta College. And so I'd like to invite Larry Martinez to come forward and say a few words on Abdullah's behalf. Larry?
Yeah, thank you very much. And it truly is a very appropriate moment, I think, to speak about this nominee and award recipient, Abdullah Saeed Al-Thani, in view of what Cuesta College has contributed to the world. I think that while students from other lands have come to Cuesta and have focused their careers in service following their graduation on their careers in service in the United States, today we have an especially significant and long overdue opportunity to recognize the achievements and service of a student who came from beyond our shores and who returned to his home country. And he brought back to his homeland not only the classroom knowledge, but even perhaps more importantly, the life-shaping experience of being a member of the Cuesta community in this most beautiful setting on the Central Coast. Mr. Abdullah Saeed Al-Thani is a 1980 Cuesta graduate who, through his perseverance, was able to not only get an anthropology degree at UC San Diego, which, as he remarked in a 2005 Daily Telegraph article, that was really unusual at the time, that someone from the Middle East would get a social science degree instead of an engineering or a science degree. But I think that this has served him very well because he has been head of the African Arab mineral and energy companies that have opened up vast new areas with very diverse cultures throughout the world. And I think we here at Cuesta College can be very proud of the role that we have played in opening up new worlds, not only for our own students, but for students from abroad who have come here, who have experienced this special living experience. And I really want to thank Lori Judson and her son David, who were instrumental in opening up their homes to students from the Middle East who came to Cuesta College and who have now gone on to exceptional careers abroad. And that Cuesta College not only exerts a very strong influence here in San Luis Obispo County, the state of California, and the United States, but truly throughout the world. And I think this award underlines that achievement of Cuesta College. So on behalf of Mr. Abdullah Saeed Al-Thani, I really want to thank you. I met him this past summer in Istanbul, and I just want to underline the fondness and the commonality that we felt as being graduates of this very, very special place here on the Central Coast, and the exceptional learning experience he had at Cuesta College. So thank you on behalf of Mr. Al-Thani. Our second honored alum this evening is George Galvin. George graduated with an Associate of Arts degree in 1977 from Cuesta College. He earned his Bachelor of Arts from Sacramento State University. He served our great country in the United States Marine Corps, retiring as First Sergeant in 1972. He has been employed by the San Luis Obispo County Sheriff's Department as a hostage negotiator and team leader of the Special Enforcement Detail. He also worked for the Atascadero State Hospital in charge of investigation and training. He has served on several committees and was chairman of the California Men's Colony Citizens Advisory Committee. His public service includes County Employees Pension Trust trustee, Santa Margarita Citizens Advisory Committee, appointed to the 16th District Agricultural Association, and his current position of Atascadero Unified School District trustee. George's nominator, Stan House, states, quote, "I first met George Galvin in 2002 when I ran for city council in Morro Bay. It was election night at the San Luis Obispo County building, and I was watching the screen, waiting for the results to stop coming in. I heard someone behind me say, 'Breathe.' I lost that night by 57 votes, but it was the beginning of what I consider one of my closest relationships. Since that time, I have gotten to know George and learned to appreciate his commitment to public service and his warped sense of humor. George is one of those rare people who are blessed with integrity and the ability to get things done, and I'm proud to have him as a friend." So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in recognizing George Galvin as a 213 Cuesta College honored alum.
I don't know. I had a speech, but somebody took up my time. And my wife would like to have been here, but she's tied up right now, and I don't know whether it's the medication she's taking, but she said to give Gil a hug and a kiss. That's not going to happen. Not going to happen on my watch. But I don't want to take up a lot of time because it's getting late, and someone did take a fair amount of time. But I want to tell you about when I first came here. I came here to get the GI Bill. No kidding, the GI Bill. That's what motivated me to come to school here. And I met a lot of fine people here that changed the course of my life. Cuesta, I remember, I don't know how many of you remember Joy Henry. If I had a question, I'd go to her, and I'd call her, and I think she thought I was a big pest. But Joy, if she didn't have the answer, she could point you in the right direction. Believe it or not, I had a speech class from Gene Shelton, who was the mayor of Morro Bay. Can you believe the mayor of Morro Bay teaching speech? I guess it's in the water. But one of the instructors I had here was probably the epitomized the instructors and teachers here at Cuesta, and they're still just as good as they were then, was Dick Hitchman. I took every class that he gave because he made you want to come to school. He made you want to stay. And I think there's a lot of people that say that they're experts in California history, but Dick Hitchman is just the greatest person I've ever sat in front of, and I would do it again if he was still teaching. And he was here, but he's left. But if you want to be a good teacher, do and follow the same pattern that Dick Hitchman has. But the reason why I came here and I told you was to collect the GI Bill. But I ran across a counselor by the name of Irene Lane. I don't know how many of you know her or remember her, but she was not much older than I was. And she asked me what my goals were, and I said, get the GI Bill. That's my goal. And she said, well, you should set some educational goals. And I said, sure, get the GI Bill. And anyway, she counseled me for a few sessions and convinced me that, you know, if I want to come to school here and get the GI Bill, I should get something out of it. And so I graduated from Cuesta, went on and got my BA. But I think the people I ran into here at Cuesta were just, they made me realize how important education is. And I think, one of the best educations I got here at Cuesta because of the people here at Cuesta. And I can't say enough about Cuesta because I love it. And I'm not going to take any more of your time because the tables are empty, and thanks a lot. It's not Gil's fault. Anyway, I'm teasing him because this is a great guy. But I want to tell you that, where's the coach at? Bob Mariucci? I'm going to end this by saying what Bob Mariucci would say, go Cougars, thank you.
Our third and final recipient this evening of the 2013 Honored Alum is Jason Snell. Jason, will you come forward, please? Jason graduated from Cuesta College in 1992 with an Associate Arts degree. While he was at Cuesta, he was a reader for the music department and a member of the vocal jazz and music theater groups. Jason has built a career in the movies. Not on the one side of the camera, but on different sides. He has been employed with Lucasfilms for 17 years, and his current position is Visual Effects Supervisor. He's worked on many of the blockbuster movies that many of us have learned to enjoy, such as the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, Space Cowboys, and several of the Star Wars franchise, as well as the Terminator Salvation. He pioneered the cool innovation visual effect of George Lucas films. Jason met his lovely wife, Monica, while here at Cuesta College, and when they were both attending, and they have 2 children. So, ladies and gentlemen, the nominee from Nella Girolo was Jason Snell, Honored Alum for 2013. Jason, thank you.
It's truly my honor to be amongst everybody who gave me my start. Really, growing up through high school, and then when I graduated, I didn't know who I was, and I discovered Cuesta College, which is where I started in '89, and I spent 3 years here. And really, the biggest thing that I learned here was how to form my own opinion and how to become my own person. I have a lot to thank to Nella Girolo and the music department and the drama department for letting me be silly and express myself and learn to be actually an actor, which is helping me now with being behind the scenes as a visual effects, computer graphics artist and supervisor. And I'll make this brief. I have one little story. When I'm out on set working with grips and the actors and putting a movie together, they a lot of the crew, come to me for technical advice and smart things, because I have an education. And yes, I do have an education, and it started here. And I really want to thank everybody.
Well, you've been a very patient audience in participating in this wonderful event. I'd like to again thank you for your attendance. Thank you for your commitment to Cuesta College, and people like Jason and George and Abdullah, who came to Cuesta College to fulfill their dreams about what could be in their life. So again, thank you for indulging all of our activities this evening. I hope you enjoyed the big top tonight. And have a wonderful evening and safe travels. Good night.